You guys did say that you wanted to see some eyeshadow looks, so I figured since my first video back to YouTube was such a natural, everyday, getting back into it makeup look, today was going to be the opposite. Today was going to be full glam, full beat, but we are in our mid-30s now, okay? And guess what? You can still do it. I believe in you. So I'm going to show you how to get this look that I'm seriously obsessed with. I honestly don't want to take it off, but I need to go to the gym, so we're going to take it off. But if you want to see how to get this look, then just keep on watching. The first thing you want to do with every eye look is prime, and I'm using the About Face eye primer. I'm going to be going in with a cream shadow, but I find it's a cream shadow that's not super long wearing, so going in with this primer is very crucial for this product. And that cream shadow is the Made by Mitchell color case. This is just like the neutral one. I'm going to take, I think, this shade right here. This is just a cream formula. You can use it really anywhere on the face, but I do find that when it comes to eyeshadow, it will crease if you don't use a primer underneath of it. So that specific shade is the shade Richer. The color cases actually come with a dual-ended brush, so you get a spatula on one side and your brush on the other. So I'm just going to scoop a little bit of that product out. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand, and I find with this product you need to warm it up. So I will almost just spread it out on the hand, really just work that in, and it'll make it go on so much smoother. And with that brush, I'm just going to apply it on the lid. We're going to do one eye at a time because the product can dry pretty quickly and we don't want it to dry in place. And I also will just use a little bit at a time because I find if I go in with too much, then it'll actually just dry on the back of my hand and I essentially wasted it. So we are just going all the way across, not into the crease, so I'm going up to the crease, just shaping, and then I'm quickly going in with a synthetic fluffy brush, and this is where we're going to diffuse those edges. If you go in with too much of the color case, it will be a little bit tougher to blend because you're just spreading the product versus when you have a thin layer, you are just diffusing the product that is already there. And then I'll kind of just go all over just to make sure there's no excess of product sitting on the lid. I bought this one and the colored one, and I have not played with the colored one at all, but I really want to. Again, just applying a thin layer, and then once most of the product's off of my brush, that's when I'm going to go to the edges to push it into that crease. And I feel like that's drying pretty quickly, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop there and start buffing before it dries on me. For eyeshadow, we're going to go in with the Anastasia Sultry palette, which looks like this. One thing I've noticed since giving up self-tanner is finding smoky eyeshadow palettes that suit my skin tone, because a lot of them pull very gray or they will pull very warm and orangey. This tone has been the best thing that I found so far. I'm going to take the shade Twig. With a fluffy brush, I'm going to apply that into the crease. I have a lot of space from my crease to my brow, so I'm going to take it up pretty high, but this is honestly preference on how high you like your eyeshadow to go. And then once my product is mostly off my brush, I'm going to bring it inwards. We are taking this everywhere. I'm going in with very little, so you're not going to see a ton of pigment. You're just going to see that crease shade get a little bit more diffused. Again, take it on that inner corner. Next, I'm going to take the shade Dystopian, which is this brown. And I'm still going in with the fluffy brush, but this one is a little bit more densely packed and a little bit smaller versus this one was very fluffy and loose. So with that shadow, I'm going to start putting this on the outer corner, working a little bit at a time. I'm just doing little circular and back and forth motions, and I'm really like getting into that crease. And I'm blending it towards the lash line. Now I'm going to slightly bring that up into the crease. I didn't dip into any more product, so this is just what is left over on my brush. I'm almost using the side of the brush to first pack it on and then using the tip of the bristles to diffuse it. And this is where you're going to adjust it to your eye shape. If you have a more like almond eye, then you're going to bring this out a little bit versus mine. I'm going to keep it a little bit more rounded on that outer corner. And then once most of that product's off, we're going to bring it up into the crease slightly. Next, we're going to take the shade Ember with our finger, and I'm going to apply that everywhere that I did not put the shadow. So basically this inner eyelid area. I'm going to look down just to make sure that the eyelid is not creased any. And I am slightly bringing that shimmer up to the lid, just like with the brush. When most of the product is off my finger, that's when I'm going to diffuse it upwards. I love this shadow on its own, but when you put it over the Made by Mitchell like deeper base, or you can use an eyeliner, just any sort of dark brown base, just looks even prettier. I'm obviously going to go with the black. This is the shade Noir. And for this, I'm looking down into my mirror, and with a tiny pencil brush, I'm going on that lash line on the outer corner, and then I'm going to slightly bring it up to that almost like outer V. I am getting fallout, but this is why I did not do my foundation yet. So press along that lash line. You can also go in with a black eyeliner first and kind of smudge that out, and then go in with the eyeshadow if you want it to be extra smoky at the lash line. And I'm only bringing this like halfway in, and then I'm just going to wipe that brush on the back of my hand, and we're going to diffuse that lash line. And now with a tinier fluffy brush, I'm going to go in with Dystopian again and just re-intensify the brown on the outer corner, and this is also going to slightly blend out the black that we had applied. Here's how the eyes are looking. I'm going to clean up the fallout, pop on mascara and lashes, and then we will come back and start on the face. Okay, lashes are on, and these are very large lashes, bigger than I wear 99% of the time. I did place another order on my normal go-to lashes, but we're doing just full full glam today. So we're gonna jump into the skin, and my absolute favorite product, and probably has been for the past year, is the Tatcha Serum Stick. So I did go in and clean up my fallout. So this just rehydrates the under eye. I will do this right before I put on my complexion products. So I will apply it here. Sometimes I'll use it as like my highlighter. If my skin's on the drier side, I kind of apply this anywhere where I have dry skin. So I'm gonna put it on the sides of the nose, in between my eyebrows, and then I just go in with my finger and blend it out. I've tried other serum sticks, balm sticks, things like that. Nothing has compared to the Tatcha one, and it just looks so good under makeup. It's not greasy like some of them are. Some of them almost feel like Vaseline in a stick. This truly feels like a serum stick. This whole area for me gets pretty dry, so we're just gonna work it all in right there. My skin has always been dry, but the older I get, the drier it gets. For foundation, this is the Juvia's Place foundation stick in the shade 20. I'm going to apply that all over, and I want pretty full glam. So we're gonna go in with a decent amount, which I'm gonna go with a sponge, so it's obviously gonna soak up some of this product. If you have dry skin, this foundation is so pretty if you prep your skin right. If you don't, it looks incredibly dry. So this obviously is a lot of foundation, but I don't know, I feel like I'm at the point in my life where my makeup is half and half. Like, I like a very natural clean girl look, but I do still love a full glam, and this foundation gives me that coverage without it looking or feeling heavy. So today's gonna be one of these like throwback 2016 full glam makeup looks. Like, look how pretty that is. And a lot of that radiance that you're seeing comes from the serum stick. And I will say I use that serum stick almost every day, and I have so much of it left. So I do think value-wise, it's definitely worth the money. So we're just gonna get this all the way blended in, and I will come back. Here's what the foundation looks like. It is just so beautiful. For concealer, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer, and concealer is probably one thing that I haven't found many options for. I pretty much only use this one. I like the It Cosmetics. The Do It All concealer is what I'll use for like really light coverage days. I like the Hydro Grip concealer, and then the Charlotte Tilbury. But other than that, like, I just don't love many concealers. I'm going to go in with that sponge, and I'm focusing this on the inner corner where I definitely have the most darkness, and then we're going to blend it back. I don't do like a super crazy full coverage under eye, so I'm not worried about too much how it looks. And I'm really like working that sponge in so it picks up all that excess product, because we're in our mid-30s. We have under eye lines. Now for bronzer slash contour. I showed you guys in my last video what I like to do for my cool toned bronzer, but I do like to go in with a warm tone depending on the look. So this is the Too Faced Melting Bronzing and Sculpting Stick in the shades Chocolate Souffle. So I'm going to do the exact same placement I showed you guys in my last video, but this is just significantly warmer of a bronzer. And then I'm just going to work this in with a brush. I start most of the product here, and I blend back, and then just do tapping motions until I get it blended. So if you didn't see my last video, this is how I do my bronzing contouring. I basically overlap the under eye area. I promise it'll come together, just bear with me. So I'm bronzing here, but I'm bringing it down to where like a contour would be, and then we'll blend that out in a minute. And then for the forehead, I just dab where I placed it. So I always place it a little bit away from the hairline, so that way there's not too much product there. So I'll blend it here, and then I will start to work back into the hairline, and then I will start to work it in. If I ever get too much close to the hairline, I will literally just wipe it off, because then it looks chunky, especially if your hair is lighter. Okay, so now I'm going to take that sponge with the side that I used for the concealer, and I'm going to blend the edges of everywhere the bronzer meets foundation. So you can see that's already diffusing that down. I'm just tapping something with the under eye area just to pick up some of that product. Always make sure to get right here at the tip of the nose where it meets foundation, and then you can see the major difference between blending that and then not blending it. But that is literally my favorite bronzing placement. It's not contouring, but I do feel like it makes my skin or my face look a little bit more sculpted, so for me it does both. Now for blush, I think I'm going to take the Rare Beauty Hope. So I'm going to do 2 dots towards the back at the very top of my cheekbone, and then with a brush I'm going to pat it in place first. We're doing exactly what we did with that bronzer, so patting it in place first here, and then I'll start to bring it inwards and then back. It's very just hit or miss whether or not I put it on the nose. Sometimes I just feel like it, sometimes I don't. Now with that sponge, we're going to go right over that and pick up any excess, and then again blend the edges. And that skin looks good. Now before we go in with powder, I'm just going to blend out any creases, and with the Huda Beauty Pound Cake powder, I'm just going to put it in my puff, press it on the back of my hand, and then set the under eye. I'm going in with a little bit more powder than I did in my last video because we have on more makeup, and I like to powder the center of the face, always around the corner of the mouth, really focusing on the sides of that nose where it tends to crease. And now with more powder, I will always set around the mouth, and you can see a lot of that glow is going away, but it will come back once we do our setting spray. And then with what's left over, I will do the nose and then very lightly in between the brows. Now I know we're already incredibly glowy, but I'm going in with that Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten and getting the top of the cheeks, especially where we powdered a little bit of that area. Literally my favorite. I'm gonna get the nose. Now taking the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, and that'll just lock those powders in, melt them down, and make them look less powdery. Now we are going to go in and put some faux freckles on. I just think that this makes a full glam look a million times better. I don't know what it is. So just do 3 little dots. Then I'm just going to dot it around until I like how it looks. So I'm just going to apply those and then I'll pop back in. Faux freckles are on, and then I went in with my Valentino Colorgraph Rockstud Noir liner. This is probably the best black liner I have ever tried, and I just put that into my waterline because we are going to smoke out the lower lash line, which is my favorite step of eyeshadow. Okay, so we are going to take that shade Twig and a fluffy brush, and I'm bringing this kind of far down, just taking that all the way inner corner to outer corner, and doing the lower lash line is going to really help balance out these lashes that we have on, because obviously I'm very top heavy right now. And now with Dystopian and a pencil brush, this is actually one of my bigger pencil brushes, I'm going to buff that a little bit higher up to that lash line, but again we are still taking this all the way in. So now I'm just looking in my bigger mirror and just make sure that that goes all the way to the outer corner and it connects. We don't want any sort of disconnect right there. And now with the shade Noir, I'm taking this closest to the lash line, specifically on that outer corner, and I'm first just dabbing that on there, and then I'll go back in with that pencil brush to diffuse it out. And then with my pencil brush with no product on it, I'm just going to diffuse that out, and you can see we're definitely looking more balanced. Now I'm going in with a lot of the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash on the lower lashes. Because these upper lashes are so big, we want the bottom to balance it out, so I'm going to make them as thick and as long as I can. So here is the eyes with the mascara on the bottom. Now I'm taking my ColourPop Flexitarian highlighter on that inner corner. We are almost finished. I'm taking my Morphe Micro Manager Brow Gel and just fluffing up the brows now that we have all the powder products finished. I love this look already. And honestly, the big lashes are growing on me. I still like my slightly less dramatic lashes, but these are growing on me. Okay, now I need to figure out lips. So I'm going to powder whatever makeup product I have on my lips right now. I almost feel like I need like a true nude. So I'm going to start out with NYX Nude Beige and we'll go from there. Yeah, I feel like this color might work. All right, now that we have it lined, I'm going to fade it inwards. I think that's good. I'm going to keep it nude, so this is MAC Flesh Pot, but I'm going to just dab so it's not as opaque of a color. Now I'm going back in with that lip liner just to re-intensify it. And here is that look completed. It's an everyday, you know, running errands sort of simple look, but for real, I love it. The skin, so good. The eyes, so good. All of it, so good. And when I tell you that the Anastasia palette is something that I have not been able to put down, like, is that not the most perfect tone of a smoky eye? Because it is. But that is everything. Let me know what type of video you want to see next. If there's very like specific products you want to see or a certain look, let me know, comment down below, and I will see you in my next one.